Hello everyone, this is Poor Easy Hacks, and welcome to my first deck profile on the Pokemon TCG Live. I've never really been huge on the Live. We have to deal with it, unfortunately, because it's the only online aspects now, since the original online was shut down a couple years ago now, which is crazy to think. But that aside, though, we're going to be checking out the Mega Lopunny, however you want to pronounce it, probably Lopunny, deck here. This is an interesting deck to where you need to be able to use Gale Thrust, which is where most of your damage is going to come from, and you're going to be able to do over 200 damage for only one energy. Now, there's a stipulation with this attack, though, to where you need to be able to have become from your bench to the active spot during that turn. If you evolve, this does not count, so they need to be evolved already upon doing so. And, of course, we're going to have a little trouble doing that because, well, there's retreat. You can only retreat once per turn, as rules may go. So that's what the Lanoon here will help. Be able to, using the ability Excited Dash, which once you're in your turn, if you have a Mega Evolution Pokemon, being, of course, Mega Lopunny, you'll be able to switch this Pokemon into your active spot. And this Pokemon, of course, does have one free retreat, but because you're getting Lopunny out of there and into the active spot, this is what's going to be able to help you. Now, we do this to be able to succeed using Air Balloon, and we run 2 of those. Probably could run more of those, but of course we have some Arven, which you might remember Skyla, used to function similar to this, but this is better than Skyla because it's, got a tool card as well that can allow us to find that. We could run Town Store. I don't have any of those cards, but it's not that big of a deal because we have enough draw power as well. We have a Cleffa in here as well. But I should say before I forget, this Lanoon might remind you of Keldeo with its Russian ability. However, this is a little bit weaker. You need to be able to have a Mega Evolution in play. But that's what synergizes well with the Mega Lopunny, of course, because it's literally a Mega Evolution. And, using Air Balloon, it literally is the same thing as like Float Stone in a sense, just a little bit weaker, but it's basically the same thing. It's really interesting, like the format from many years ago, 10 years ago when I first started playing. It's pretty much the same thing. We see stuff all over the place, but not to get too much on a tangent there, we're going to continue off. Of course, we've got 2 Zigzagoon in here, of course. We have 3 Baniri. Of course, we got our standard, Fezandipity. If we get knocked out, we can draw some cards. We've got Mew as well, draw some cards. You could run Latias. I don't have any of those, unfortunately. We do also run this Kecleon. It's a bit of a, kind of, I guess you could say a trolly Pokemon, to where if your opponent attacks, you can flip a coin and prevent all damage. It's nice to where if you're kind of getting messed up in a game, you're getting, you're freaking duping, or whatever it may be with your hand, you've got that as well. We also run 1 Cleffa. Now, this card has been amazing. It is a no energy cost. Of course, you can attack your first turn, but being able to draw 7 cards in your hand if you just kind of brick or have an awful hand at the beginning. This is just phenomenal, fantastic. We do also run a Squawk ability. Haven't really seen just too much use for this. Probably could run Latias instead, but I just kind of run it for the sake of running it. We do also run a Bouffalant as well to take 20 less damage, so another kind of stall way, that kind of thing. Now, we do also run, we have a Counter Catcher, if you're not doing so great. We only run 2 Research. We also run a Maximum Belt. Now, this is going to synergize well with the Stadium Gravity Mountain. This is great to deal with your Charizard, Mega Charizard, maybe your Terastallized Charizard EX. Any of those cards to get minus 30 HP, helping us get closer to that one-hit knockout, or potentially even getting that one-hit knockout in doing so. Now, we do also run some Earthen Vessel and Ultra Ball, of course. We run 2 Bosses Order. Those are really nice. 1 Hilda, because it's nice to be able to get your evolution Pokemon. We do run a fair amount of evolution Pokemon in this deck, so that's just kind of nice in general to be able to have that. I would run more Jet Energy if I had some. This is just a nice energy to where you can attach it from your bench. And then upon doing so, it will promote the Pokemon to active. It's another way to get it up there if we don't have a way to, get Lanoon out. But Lanoon with Air Balloon is going to be your main combo. Then we also run some... the nice thing about Hilda, I should say, as well, it says you can do any energy card. So this means special energy as well. So probably want to run more of those. Probably more Hilda. But... we do also run some Buddy Buddy Poffin because we most of our basics as well are under or at 70 HP. We can get the Cleffa, we can get the Kecleon, we can get the Baniri, which is just kind of nice overall. And of course, we run the Ultra Ball to be able to get any Pokemon that are above that, of course, as well. We run quite a bit of switches. Probably don't need to run this many. In fact, if I had like some more, Hilda or whatnot, I probably would run less than this. But switches are just kind of nice because they're another way to get you to the active. We do run one tool scrapper to help deal with, stuff like Genesect. Our A specs being destroyed, that's just not great as well. And we do run one Artisan just to get, more stuff to be able to get it going, of course, as well. But that being said, then, let me show off the first game I played with this deck and had quite a lot of fun with it. Now, this deck, we did start a little bit later in the game. As you can see, a turn has already been happening. My recording kind of bugged out, but yeah, it's whatever. We're going against The Name. A pretty cool overall kind of name right here. My opponent just uses simply Call for Family, and you'll get 2 more basics on there. I end up drawing another Baniri top deck. Of course, we get the Lanoon right there because it's just amazing. We already have the air balloon combination, so we're already quite a lead with my opponent. Going to use Grasping Draw for that nice big fat 7, as many cards as you could possibly get. So all sorts of just amazing stuff right here. Supporters. We got some energy to be able to attach more to Baniri. Just like an amazing combination overall we've got going here. My opponent definitely struggles a little bit. You can see right there his timer is lower than mine. He's struggling, sweating quite a bit. He does get a Charmeleon finally in play, but it doesn't look like he's getting too great with draws overall. Just kind of thinking about what to do, what might happen. I will say I don't really fear too much against this deck. We see some sort of Charizard, be it like a Charizard EX, the Terastallized one, or the Mega Charizard. Now, unfortunately, due to the fact that I run Mega cards, I am at a disadvantage. My opponent does run the original EX, so of course Mega Pokemon do lose 3 prize cards. That's kind of the difference between the original and this one. The Megas, when you evolved in the original TCG back in the XY era, you had to end your turn unless you had a Spirit Link. Those don't exist anymore. You don't have to worry about ending turns now. Instead, you just lose an additional prize card. Of course, EXs lose 2. Regular basics lose 1 when they faint. Unless there's some other, special kind of stuff in there, such as, say, we're dealing with, I don't know, like the Rabombi line or something. But, yeah, losing 3 prize cards, that kind of makes Mega just a risk in general to be able to take on. And we see my opponent using a Buddy Poffin right here, trying to get their deck filled up. They know I've got a lot of pressure applied to them. Interesting, we do see Pidgey. I do wonder if my opponent is going to run Pidgeot EX. I guess we'll just have to see from here. Not really too much they can do at this moment. I mean, I am a little sweating a bit, but my opponent does use the Restart with Mew, which is, I'm not really huge on that ability. It's only 3 cards, but hey, any cards you can get is better than no cards, I will say. I just really like to be able to start with that Cleffa. I almost thought about being able to start with another one, but my opponent loses the TM Energy. Didn't end up using that at all. I do top deck a Lilies right there. I've got a lot of options right here. I've got Ionos. That, unfortunately, is not a good idea because I'd be helping my opponent right here. We will attach another Fighting Energy to the Baniri. Just really nice overall with those Fighting Energy. Being able to just simply, only one attack. I decided to just choose Fighting Energy because you can choose any energy in general. I probably could do some kind of synergy, but you only need 1 energy. Yeah, we do have a 2 energy attack, but we really are just kind of focusing on the that first attack right there. Now, Spiky Hopper is nice as well, I should say, because you can prevent your opponent from being able to do things like Safeguard against you, and that can knock things out like the Crustle, like the Mimikyu, which will be rotating out coming this spring. But I decided to just simply retreat right here. What's nice is the Cleffa also is free retreat, so even more synergy right here. We go up and we do a Spiky Hopper. Don't really need to, go all out. Well, I guess we did actually because it's only 60 damage to begin, but we get the first knockout. It's just simply a basic Pokemon, so it is what it is. We get another Iono. I have to say, I will say with this deck, just a lot of supporter cards. I'm just tend to drawing too much. You, of course, can only play 1 supporter card per turn, and you can't play it during your first turn, so as a result, that does make it a little unfortunate that if you draw like a bunch of supporters during your first turn. Now, if you do go first, I should say I actually went first for this deck. You, of course, can't attack or you can't use a supporter card. So it probably, I don't know, it might be better to go second. I mean, I think a lot of decks in this day and age, it's better to go second. You don't really see a huge reason to go first just because you can attack and use that nice little supporter card there. Unless, of course, you have Carmine. But even then, I don't really see a reason to use Carmine, just at least in this deck, due to the fact that, well, if you can't really do a whole lot the first turn, then, well, why bother? Why bother? But my opponent promotes the Mew. They don't really have a whole lot going on right here. They're really struggling to think. They do get a rare candy, and then they evolve. So they are using the Charizard, not Mega Lopunny, they're using the Terastallized Charizard. And they're going to get some energy going on with their Pokemon, because surprisingly they haven't attached any well, they don't have any attached right now, I should say, and I certainly have a pretty good lead right here. Wow, 3 fire on the Mew. They're probably going to use genome hacking. Now what's interesting about that attack, actually, genome hacking, is it's kind of like the Mew from Legendary Treasures, where you have an ability and you can use any attack on the board, of course, if the energy cost. But in this case, you need the 3 energy. So in a way, it could be worse, could be better. Once again, we're seeing a lot of cards that are similar before. Get another Mega Lopunny right here. Really like that art. There's, I believe, 3 different arts of Lopunny. I actually run all 3 of them in this deck. But we go ahead and decide to use the Artisan. Might as well use that against my opponent right here. I decided to get another Baneri just because that, well, it's more ideal to keep pressure on your opponent, be able to just, well, get another Lopunny out there. In fact, I only run 3. Might as well just, use everything we've got going. Why not? Why let that go to waste? Why let any of that struggle right there? But really, I could take out the Mew if I wanted. But I do want to be careful, though, because that Mew being able to use genome hacking against me, it's pretty disgusting. Now, unfortunately, my opponent, I don't think they're really too aware. I should say, unfortunately for my opponent, they don't seem to be too aware about how Lopunny's attack works, per se. But I decided to just discard the Iono, because at this point, I'm going to be helping my opponent, and I will make my hand smaller. I don't really see a reason to. I really like Lilies. Lilies is just such a great card to be able to, you can get, up to 8 cards. Kind of reminds you of Colress, but Colress is actually different, to where it depends on how many bench Pokemon. So in this case, I've got 8 bench Pokemon, so I'd be able to draw 8 cards, but you could draw up to 10 with Colress. It's an unlikely thing, but it's definitely a possible thing. Lily's just more set in stone. Being able to have a consistent 6 cards, I think, is better than, an inconsistency. But and of course, you can draw 8 cards if you have all your prize cards still, which it's better for beginning game. So that's why I kind of think it's just kind of better than Carmine, because there really isn't a huge reason to sacrifice 3 cards. It's better to go second than discarding your hand and only getting 5 cards. It could be nice to run maybe one of those in place of like a research or something. But anyways, we see here we're using Lanoon's ability, getting up there to use a Gale Thrust for the knockout, taking out the Mew EX, getting 2 prize cards. I don't know. I never really have a specific way to choose certain prize cards. I just kind of pick, whatever. We get a Tool Scrapper and our last Mega Lopunny right there. I don't know. How do you guys pick your prize cards? You've got like a certain way to do it. I mean, you don't really know what's under there, of course, unless you got like a town map. So that's why they let you pick them. But probably 90%, probably over that, is you're just going to be picking them randomly. So what are you going to do from that point on? My opponent promotes the Charizard EX, and they go ahead and use Artisan right here. They do need to keep more pressure up. Still no energy from my opponent. It's certainly really concerning, to say the least, for them. They still haven't drawn any prize cards. I'm over halfway done. I still do have that fear, though, of the fact that, Lopunny, of course, can lose. You can lose 3 prize cards from your opponent just from, that. But wow, my opponent then ends up passing, of course. Still no energy. I do draw the Mew right there. Get another Lopunny out, of course. Might as well just get them all out there. We've got all 3 Mega Lopunny. Throw a Gravity Mountain down. It doesn't really help as much, unfortunately, even with the Maximum Belt, even though I was saying early in the video. Just due to how things are, you really can't do enough damage. Like, I think it's about like 280, and we would still have that 20 down. So unless we had, if only we had like Hypnotoxic Laser or something in format still, just to do a little bit of chip damage. 280 is a nice amount of damage, don't get me wrong. And this is a great counter for Charizard, of course, as well. But let's just kind of keep applying some damage. I do think that could be a problem in other decks as well, going forward. But we get another Lopunny promotion right out there. Might as well just go down with the more damage. I decided to attach as well to another Lopunny because, I don't know, you might want to use that, spiky hopper attack. It is really nice. Like, I think it tends to be overlooked. I know, like, Cobalion EX in Plasma Storm had Steel Bullet for 60 less damage, 100. I think it was 3 energy cost, and just being able to have that dealing with Safeguard and whatnot was a really nice thing. Of course, it was a little bit weaker. Metal Pokemon are all about the defense and the attack. But I have thought about making a metal deck like such as Matang. I think that's a pretty cool one. That is a promo card you can get out of like a league pack. But anyways, my opponent, man, I honestly feel kind of bad for them. I almost feel like I should have done a little bit of mercy right here. They have at least done some damage to me, but will that be all the damage they end up doing this game? I don't know. This is a little concerning. I do want to talk about my sleeves right here. I have the Ho-Oh, I think this is Shining Legend sleeves from I think it's like the Sword and Shield era or something like that. I also run the deck box and the coin as well. Not really a reason to flip coins unless my opponent has. I did think about running Crushing Hammer in this, but I honestly, that'd be like that would just be completely unfair to my opponent. Still no energy at all. I mean, they did at least have some on the Mew, but like that could have been like all of it. When it comes to like running energy on decks and whatnot, I see a reason to not really run over 9 at times. It is fine. I think, of course, you want to run more trainer cards. Usually, a little bit of energy isn't fine, especially if you have like Night Stretcher or something. But we're just gonna keep going this up, keep applying the pressure. At this point, it's pretty much game. I'm honestly. I guess at this point, beating a dead horse. I did notice, well, both my opponent and myself have the same amount of cards drawn, but they must have had some really nasty stuff prized. It must be quite a few energies or something going on. I didn't honestly mind what I had prized at all, so we're going to go ahead and use another Gale Thrust, this time for the knockout. It would be nice to get those one-hit KOs, but I think the main thing about Lopunny is the fact that it's low energy cost. You're going to get going. It applies a lot of pressure to begin with. It might cause a lot of spread damage, though, due to like the retreat. Then we only got one more prize card now. My opponent at this point, it's pretty much game. I don't know what really they could do. They could try to stall it a bit right here. I do get a little cocky right here. I'd end up just putting like the thumbs up. Eventually I do. But yeah, I mean, there is, I believe that is what, Chi-Yu. And it does have Mega Fire of Envy, but at this point, they can't even use that attack because, wow, they did finally get a Fire Energy. They use a Counter Catcher, but even with Fire of Envy, it's too late. They could try to promote any of my Pokemon, but my opponent uses that on the Cleffa, and I will say it's interesting because pretty much all of my Pokemon, actually, no, all of my Pokemon have free retreat. We got the Air Balloon, we've got, thanks to Lanoon, all that stuff. I mean, it's the Cleffa. I'm surprised they just put the Cleffa out there as well. At this point, it is game. My opponent is trying their best to get some energy back from their discard pile. I don't know how the extra fire energy is going to help them. We're just going to make this, we're going to make this quick and easy. Just retreat from the Cleffa. I don't even need to bother with the Lanoon's ability. Just go out there, use the Gale Thrust for the 230, and get our last prize card, with that being game. And I do get a little cocky right there, throwing the thumbs up once again. Wow, so that should really go to show the power of Mega Lopunny. With that being said, I'll see you all next time for another Pokemon TCG card live video, and stay tuned.